Hello, everyone. I'm Jason. My YouTube channel is JTK Studios. I also run a podcast called Pub Wisdom, and largely just getting started with a lot of things. But I have an automotive background, and the background is really started from a mechanic and worked into technician, college degreed in automotive engineering, worked my way into engineering roles, and have additional college education towards bachelor's degree. Never quite finished a bachelor's, never quite needed it. But anyway, I have a very extensive background in the auto industry. I've worked for virtually almost all the major suppliers and some of the even OEs throughout my career. So, and I've worked in mechanic shops, and I've of course worked on my own vehicles, did all my own maintenance of my own vehicles, and I got to work most recently for the great Sandy Monroe and learned his design philosophy, lean design, and things like that. And it really kind of helped piece together some of my general knowledge into the manufacturing side of things and some of the design side of things, which is key ingredients to understanding the automobile top to bottom, left and right, inside and out. And there's really not much I don't know. Now, as far as Tesla goes, I've been a fan of Tesla long before it was a car company, and am very much a fan of how they do things. A fan of Elon Musk, and I I thoroughly understand how they're doing things, which I think is a problem with a lot of people. They don't understand how that company operates, and a lot of people have an aversion to things that are new and different. But one thing I want to get to today is this guy here, Scotty Kilmer. Scotty's not had a lot of the best things to say about Tesla and EVs in general. And I know he's done some reviews of them in the past, and a lot of the information I've seen is just like, where are you getting your information from, buddy? I mean, you sound like an old mechanic. And sure enough, did a little background digging on him. Yeah, and of course, yeah, Wikipedia, I know. But I mean, you get a good general information. You can go deeper from there. You can find other sources. But yeah, he's started as a mechanic very young age. He's much older than myself. He's actually more closer to my parents' age. Um, and he's also done things on like a radio call-in kind of stuff before he launched his YouTube channel. And of course, he's wildly successful. He's got a lot of viewers, a lot of subscriptions, but he's not always correct in what he says. And his views do come from a mechanic standpoint. Mechanics have a lot of great points. They do a lot of great things. Very sharp people, very good diagnostics. But I kind of want to get into a little bit what he's doing here, and I'm going to try to stop the video a lot. I'm going to try to comment on his comments because he rolls very quickly. He moves very fast. The editing is very sharp, and he really tries to spew out a lot of things as if he's coming from a place of authority when he's really not. And a lot of times he's coming from a place of ignorance. And a lot of his talking points, the negative talking points he has on Teslas, are the same of what you hear in the mainstream. And so I'm assuming that's where he gets his information from. And I know when you assume, you could make an ass out of you and me, but whatever. I'm dealing with the information I have put in front of me. And you put a video like this where you're compiling a bunch of information and you're saying negative things about a company you have no affiliation with. It's your opinion in the end, but the amount of people he reaches and the amount of views he has, I think way too many people are taking his word as gold. And I really would like to see an interview between him and my former boss, Sandy Monroe. Heck, I'd like to do a one-on-one with him, and because I really want to throw my hat in the ring of these types of bigger conversations. But here we go. I'm gonna try to roll the video, and hopefully I won't make this too long. It's a 14-minute video, and I know when you stop frequently, it makes this very much longer, but we'll see how it goes. Tell it like it is, Scotty.
Rev up your engines! All right, finally, I got my hands on a Tesla. Real guy bought it with all the incentives. He paid 40.
Real guy bought it means if you looked at the headline, it says, I finally got a Tesla, which he's reviewed these in the past, which means it's kind of a misnomer. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, I finally got a Tesla, and it scares the crap out of me. He's reviewing somebody else's car. So he doesn't. He's just doing like a walk around and a quick drive. Not. You really should. You really should. You can go to a Tesla store and get a 24-hour test drive. I've done this many times. Much better experience with it, and it's still not enough. There's so many features to look into the car, but anyway, yeah. And he talks about the cost.
$33,000. It's kind of a funny story because he's young and he had bad credit, and his previous car was a Sonata. With his bad credit stuff, it cost him 60 grand. So this was a lot cheaper than his previous car.
That's the way things are going, especially with Tesla and their rate of innovation. Now that they're reaching a cost parity and they're on par, if not even cheaper than other cars of gasoline nature, plus the cost of ownership and the cost of maintenance is much cheaper. It's just going to be a no-brainer in terms of the way to go. Anyway.
And this is the dual motor Model 3 extended range. But I can't comment on the extended range because the furthest he's gone is about 60 miles. Last year, and this year especially, Tesla dropped their prices a bunch because they're trying to sell the things.
Tesla has the number one selling car in the world being the Model Y, and the Model 3 is right behind it. You really need to watch Best in Tesla, buddy. Get your information from different sources. That's mainstream media talking point. They drop their prices because they're not having enough sales. Well, they're snowballing everybody else. The rest of the auto industry is struggling, not Tesla.
They realize there's only so many millionaires out there, better than during coronavirus.
He just said they're cheaper. He just said the car is cheaper than a Hyundai Sonata. You don't need to be a millionaire to own either car. Just decent credit.
And they were going for way over list price, and used ones are going for more than new ones. Those days are long gone. You know about electric cars? Tires are expensive, they wear out faster, and check this out. Look, it's got 6,000 miles, and the tires are already worn out. The tires on a Tesla, especially a dual motor one, they are going to wear out 3 times faster than in a normal car because the giant batteries hit it under here. But the battery...
They're not that much heavier than their gasoline counterparts. If you're burning out tires, it's usually the person driving it. I mean, there's a fact. You can say, yes, they wear tires down a little bit faster because of the high torque, but that all depends on how you drive it. So drive it normal, you'll have normal tire wear. You drive like a maniac. My first car, 71 Chevelle, tires are $50 a piece. I was going through tires every couple months, 2 at a time. Did that with my Camaro when the tires were up to $200 a piece. Did that once, rotate the tires, did it again. I had one hell of a tire bill. That stopped me from doing that. You get a fun car like that, especially when you go from a Hyundai to a Tesla, a lot more fun. And you're going to use that pedal a lot more. And then once you get that first tire bill, you're going to stop doing that. Anyway, moving on.
In a car, they weigh a lot, and there's 2 things going against the tires. One, the more a vehicle weighs, guess what? The faster the tires wear out. But number 2, being an electric car, they have phenomenal torque. Him being young and driving like a maniac, like he says, you're gonna wear the tires out faster. He just got the speed upgrade, but he had to pay for it. And a lot of people don't like that. He had to pay $2 grand so he could access what was already in the car, right? It goes much faster. It used to go 0 to 60 in 4.2 seconds.
Really freaking fast. And $2,000, I mean, that might buy you a supercharger, but it won't get it installed, and you still won't get the same gains that they can supply you. Car's fast enough. Most people don't need it. Majority of people don't need it. If you're paying for the extra upgrade, and that's actually pretty good because it's puts it just under the performance Model 3 that I can tell. Anyway, this is a weird talking point. Anyway.
And now it goes 0 to 60 in 3.6. That's quite a bit faster. I mean, they're very fast cars. I just don't like the idea that he bought the car and he had to pay extra money to make it go as fast as it could go. It wasn't like, oh, well, okay, they modified the car.
BMW wants to charge you a subscription for heated seats. This is more valid. Heated seats, yeah, that's already there. Just give them to them. This is a bad talking point.
And if it was a gasoline engine, maybe they put a turbo on or rebuilt the engine or put bigger fuel injectors. No, it's
all of which cost more than $2 grand. injectors are debatable.
All software. It's already in the car, and you got to pay $2,000 more taxes. And I think that stinks myself.
Even with a nice engine and you upgrade parts, you're still going to have to go in and upgrade the software to match those parts. Otherwise, it won't run right.
And it's a raw deal, right? Now let's look at the fit and finish. Okay?
Oh my
you
God.
can see it's a little wider on the bottom than at the top. It's not outrageous like some of the early ones were. See, it's thinner here, it's a little wider here. But the back one, it's pretty even. Unlike the older ones, they seem to be doing a better quality job putting them together, I'll say that. So let's take a look inside. The one thing I don't like as a mechanic is this. You go behind this panel between the back seats, you pull it off, then there's a connector there. You unplug the connector, and then even I have to have an adapter for my fancy scan tool. I have them, but then again, I'm a mechanic with a...
He's referring to the ALDL connector, which is the diagnostic port that's universal amongst all cars nowadays. And he'll talk about how it's an EV, it doesn't need it. But the real deal behind it, the codes behind that service system, none of them line up with an electric car. And it's not necessary. Plus, I'm pretty sure a mechanic or a Tesla technician can probably just punch in the code and pull it all up on the screen. You don't need it. And that aligns well with Tesla's philosophy of, best parts, no part. And if you can put it on the screen, its own screen, and read it, what do you need a separate tool for? Old guy thinking, and not up to modern standards.
$5,000 scan tool and all the stinking adapters that come with it. But it kind of aggravates me that when I work on these things, I got to take that apart, then I got to turn the car off, then I got to let it sleep for 15 minutes, then I unplug it, then I got to plug my scan tool in, and then activate it that way. Why on earth he made them like that? It's stupid. Now, you can say, oh, it's cheapness.
There's a whole lot less that can go wrong with them, though, and a lot less need for this. And this is something that almost no one will do.
Well, not really. It's still got it in there, but you have to access it with an adapter. Why didn't they make them all with OBD plugs is beyond me. Well, I can tell you the truth. It's because he doesn't have to. By law, electric cars are not covered under the law that all gasoline and petroleum cars have to have OBD2 plugs. They were originally instituted for anti-pollution reasons. And since they say, well, it's an electric car, it doesn't pollute, right? I mean, you can argue that. The electricity comes from somewhere, but the car itself...
Another argument from ignorance. I've done the math on this. Even if you're in the worst case scenario with the most polluting, coal-burning electric plant, per energy used in a vehicle per mile traveled is going to be far less than what you get any given gasoline or diesel vehicle. But taking the fact that we're adding more solar, adding more wind power, adding more green electrical generation, and less use of coal and things like that, and it is a transition, and that's what we're doing. That factor drops off dramatically. I hate this talking point. Plus, one tailpipe versus millions of tailpipes, which should be a lot easier to regulate. Just saying.
Yes, does not pollute. By law, they didn't have to put one in, so they did. So, I mean, we look around, the seats are nice. There's a giant screen that does everything, right? And in front of you is nothing. Kind of looks like, though, fake wood paneling we used to have in cellars in the 1960s. So you're looking there, but all your information is over here. It's disconcerting for a lot of drivers. I do have to say, when I tested out that electric Volvo a few months ago, I really liked it because it was more like a car. And it had all the instrument panels here. It even had a cool gear shift knob that was made out of European crystal, you know? So I got...
Yeah. Smartphones need buttons. Remember the Droid Motorola 2? I have one. You slide it out, it's got a keyboard. A week of owning the thing, I stopped using the keyboard. Smartphones, flip phones versus smartphones. That's what old vehicles are versus what Teslas are. Tesla's a smartphone. And people still have this preconceived notion, I need buttons, as opposed to adjusting to the screen. I don't own a Tesla yet, but I've driven many of them, and adjusting to the screen does take a little bit, but it's really not that big of a deal. The only critique I have with Tesla is give me a heads up display for my speed and just a, maybe like directional kind of information. Outside of that, I love the minimalist interior. You ever clean a car? Ever clean around the buttons? Ever clean all that stuff? Ever have the buttons wear off? The label on the buttons wear off? It looks like crap afterwards because some people's hands are just oily and acidic or whatever, and it just rubs them off. They look like crap over time, and are a pain in the ass to clean. There's like dirt in between all the buttons and stuff. No, thank you. The cleaner the interior, the easier it is to keep clean. It's just, I love the minimalist interior, but old guys will complain about it. I don't know why. Just, they don't like change.
Gotta say, for traditionalists, you just feel weird driving, looking at nothing, and then all the information is over here. Now, it doesn't obstruct your field of vision like some of the Toyota screens do that actually
Oh, he had to name drop Toyota.
Curves into the glass, but at the same time, when you're looking ahead, you gotta look over here to see stuff and touch them. To me, yeah, that's kind of counterintuitive. I don't know. And of course, it's gonna have electric parking brakes because
screens are very intuitive to children. Trust me, my kids figured out the Tesla faster than I could.
everything on this car is electric. The only thing we got here is a brake pedal and a gas pedal. And of course, it's got all the crazy link profiles and stuff you can put it in. He's using the front for his backpack. Now, not all that much space that's usable unless you happen to have something that's this bizarre shape, you know? It's only using electricity. Creating electricity, yeah, that's probably polluted it somewhere else. But the car itself isn't doing anything. You don't have to worry about it throwing anything out. The only thing that these put more pollution out is microparticles from the tires. When you drive down the road, rubber microparticles go around, and now they're finding out that a lot of these rubber microparticles, and they have plastic in them too, are one of the main contributors of water pollution. Most people never think about it, but okay.
Every car, truck, anything that goes down the road has tires. This isn't an electric car thing.
You're driving down the road. Do you ever notice how the roads are slightly graded? Sometimes you let go of your steering wheel, it'll pull to the right or the left, depending on how the drainage is. Well, all those microparticles of rubber and plastic, the rain carries them down the drain, into the river streams, and ultimately into the ocean. So they are polluting more because they got big tires that wear out faster, and all that little tiny pieces of rubber that you can't really see because they're micro, they end up in the water supply. So it's not like they're not doing anything at all. They're not doing anything to the air, but they're kind of messing with the water. Backup camera's phenomenal. Check it out. She warns you the side stuff. Hear that little whirring sound? That's the Tesla noise. By law, they have to make noise so people can hear them. Because other than that, now that we're going faster.
Oh, Tesla's got some funny tricks for that too, like the megaphone that they use on the outside. I'd love to program that myself. Move, get out the way.
The only thing you hear are the tires going down the road. As you can see, this has a conventional steering wheel. Nice.
Hey, you don't have to scream, Scotty. It's real quiet in there.
Small size, but a real wheel. It's not a yoke. Okay, now here we go to our little drag strip. We're going to go up to the top of the hill. Then we're going to stop, and we're going to take off full speed. So ready? We're coming to the drag strip. We're stopping, and we'll see how fast this thing can go. Go! Whoa! Man, this thing is fast. Let me tell you, it threw me back in the seat, and it really does go. Let's say you're cruising, and then you want to pass people. Look at that. Woo! There go the ex-corn stalks. This thing can fly. There's no arguing that. And to top it off, it's fast, quiet speed. It's not making any noise. Even with these worn out tires that he bought because he liked the rim, he's going to put his other tires on when he gets a chance. And let's accelerate. Whoa! Man, this thing is like a rocket ship. There's no arguing that. It's a good thing they didn't exist when I was young, because if they did, I would no longer be here making videos for you. I would be 6 feet under from flying in the air and landing somewhere upside down. The only
That might be true for a lot of us. These cars are quicker out of the box than most of our cars that we would build. Street cars we built back in the day. I mean, my goodness, if you had a 450 horsepower street car back in the day, you were one of the faster guys. This thing will blow those things out of the water, no problem. Anyway.
thing you're gonna hear It's the turn signal. That's it. Autopilot now, not the advanced one, but I gotta say, it looks cool. Now we can see what's on the right-hand side so we don't hit anything. And it's warning there's a person next to us. When the light turns green, it's supposed to ding. It dinged. Stop sign to warn you in case you are looking at the screen and not the road. It also has a 16-speaker sound system that's killer, but I can't play anything because of copyright reasons. He's not driving cross-country and stuff, and where his girlfriend works, they have a free Tesla charger. So when she got...
He showed a supercharger. A free charger is usually like a level 2 charger that you can charge, slow charge over 8 hours or whatever. Sometimes a lot of employers have them now. At Monroe, they did too. You can wheel up, plug in your car. If you're at minimum charge when you wheel up, by the end of the day, you leave, you got a full charge. I mean, what a bonus that is. You know, in my car, and I drive probably, less than 30 miles a day, a daily routine, and I'm spending $250 a month in gasoline, depending on what price the gas is. Man, $250 a month is not a high amount of money, but it's not a low amount of money either, and you can do a lot more with your life with that.
Goes, she can plug it in and get it charged for free. Now when it comes to charging, if you buy a supercharger, he said pretty much around 45 minutes it'll fully charge the vehicle.
In most cases you don't need to go full charge, and when you're doing a road trip like he said they haven't done, these cars are very successful on a road trip, and my parents proven that. They've lived in Florida, they've driven back and forth to Michigan many times. That's a long drive, and the car will plot everything out for you. As long as you're not lead footing it and driving over the speed limit too much, the car will go its full range, and you can by the time you get to the stop after about 250, 300 miles, you kind of want to get out of the car and stretch your legs anyway. And think about the convenience of just plugging your car in and walking away and not having to sit there with the gas pump while it fills up. You can get in your car, walk away, go to the bathroom, get some food, walk the dog, whatever. Get back in by the time you're done. It's usually between 20 and 35 minutes or so. If you're getting a bite to eat, you're gonna consume that time anyway. Get back into the car, unplug, and away you go to the next supercharger. And in a way, helps you enjoy the ride, helps you enjoy the journey, where you're not in the vehicle 100% of the time. You're actually out and about, stretching your legs. It's just better for you. Enjoy the journey a little bit more. I personally had a problem with that too, but I think I would enjoy this.
Now, if you're in a bad situation where you got to plug it into a house at 110, well, when they did that once, it estimated a little over 24 hours to charge it up. But he charges it at night, 12 hours, where he is, and since he's only going 60 miles, there's no problem. He could do that indefinitely. The fit and finish is much better than the earlier one.
God, he just counteracted his own point. But most people won't charge 110. Every house has 220. It's not very difficult to get an electrician out there and set you up.
Can't argue about that. He didn't like the original rims, so he got fancy rims. I agree with him. It looks a lot better with these rims. Yes, I'd be kind of pissed if I had to pay $2,000 to get more speed out of a vehicle, and it wasn't like, oh, well.
Why? Go price out a supercharger, turbocharger system, and then pay to have it installed, and then you have to pay to have someone update your ECU to accept the system, and then you're going to have worse fuel economy. This thing gives you all the extra power and same economy.
Oh, he paid it and they reprogrammed it? No, it was already all there, even the programming. He just had to pay to be able to access it. I think that's a raw deal myself. But
again, BMW and heated seats, remember that. They want you to subscribe for that.
All things considered, he paid like $45,000 for this thing. So his monthly payment is $600. To me, of course, I'm a cheapskate. When I bought my house in Houston, my house that I lived in, the monthly payments were $550 for the whole house. Right? And he's not living in this thing, right? But for today's economy, I see people that are paying $1,000 a month, right? Yeah, and he's buying it. He's not leasing it. He's going to own the thing, so it's his, and since he's not putting all that many miles on it, hey, it might last him quite some time for his lifestyle. He's not driving it far. He's not going cross country in the thing. He's taking little trips here and there. And just like the guy that brought me the electric Chevrolet last year, he lived in Maryland, worked in Washington, D.C., and he was happy because he had plenty of charging at his townhome, go to work and back and work and back, and he had, 35,000 miles on it. It worked fine. He didn't have any problems with it. It was a lot.
It's about 95% of people on the road live within that range. It's easy to access with an EV, but yeah. Anyway,
cheaper than this thing was because it was a cheap little Chevy. But paying higher insurance rates, it's not just because he's young. These electric.
Look into Tesla insurance if you're getting one. See if it's in your state.
Your cars cost a fortune when they get wrecked. If you remember the video that I made last year in Rhode Island with a Model 3 that went on autopilot, hit the curb, broke the front motor.
Also remember they're the safest cars on the road. Top four safest cars: Model 3, Model Y, Model S, and Model X. So, and accident avoidance systems help prevent you from getting in an accident. So it is quite rare. And then if you get decent insurance that knows what's going on, like I said with Tesla insurance, they can customize your insurance. I don't know how it works yet, but they've got the full capabilities of doing all that. So I wouldn't worry about this point.
And it dented the battery. 30,000 miles on it.
I'll also say I had a friend with a brand new Cadillac that got in a fender bender with a deer, and the exterior of the car was largely okay and could have been straightened up and fixed up, no problem. However, it set off almost all the airbags on the interior, causing the vehicle to be totaled. So understand that every car nowadays is far more expensive. Not to mention all ICE engines, all ICE vehicles, especially trucks in general, they have 5 or 6, 7 heat exchangers or radiators in their front end, and you get one whack in there and every one of those systems is compromised. The repair bills are through the roof, and most major accidents are going to total a vehicle out nowadays. And it's just, the cost of an interior is as much as the cost of a powertrain. So when all the airbags go off, you tear up the interior, and then of course that cost, it will total the vehicle. You're screwed either way. The best accident is never to get in one, so that's largely the human being, but the vehicle is a tool to help you avoid that. As that's what the safety systems are for. Most of which I agree with, not all of them.
They totaled the car. Guess who pays for that? The insurance company. Guess what the insurance company does? It raises the rates on everyone, and especially the people that are buying electric cars. So keep that in mind. Don't just think the price. Add it all up. See, do you mind paying the extra insurance? If you own a house, townhome, whatever, and you can put a 220, generally, that's cost you a couple grand to get it hooked up. The things don't cost that much. You get a decent one like the Autel, they're like $500. They don't cost all that much, but you got to run the 220, and that's a lot of power. Don't try doing it yourself. Pay an electrician to do it. I tell you don't want to burn your house down because some fool didn't know how to wire it correctly. You add all those costs in.
I would say not just an electrician, but an electrician that's familiar with the duty cycle of how all that's going to work. Because even with products on the market, they're not all up to spec for charging a car. But that's just in addition to what we said. But yeah, contact a professional.
And if you don't mind those costs, you want a screaming car, they come down because people weren't buying them at the higher prices. That if you want to try one of these things out and you're in that kind of a limited situation, his girlfriend's got a conventional Kia gasoline, right? So they want to go to California, they can jump in that thing and drive to California in it. They don't have to worry.
There's a lot more superchargers in California. It's not an issue.
About finding charging stations on the way, right? If you got a 2-car household,
the car does it for you, finding charging stations.
That would be my advice to anybody who's thinking about buying an electric car. You got 2 cars, hey, you want to try an electric car? What the heck? Go out and try an electric car. And if you don't like it, you still got the other one to take big trips in. Unfortunately for the electric car companies, there's lots of guys in my position, baby boomers, post-World War II, we're downscaling things. We're going to 1 car, and that 1 car isn't going to be an electric car. It's going to be a gasoline car.
Well, my parents did, and they're older than you, and they bought a Tesla. They loved it. My stepdad has owned all kinds of crazy cars. The last one being Pontiac G8, Firehawk edition, a special edition car, supercharged, 500 horsepower. Once he drove a Tesla, he said never going back. And it was quite cute to see my parents talking about the car and fighting over who gets to drive it next. And now they're on their second Tesla. They got went from the first year of Model 3 to a current generation Model Y. And yeah, they're down to one car, but they love it. And I don't think they'd trade it for anything else.
Or a hybrid as things stand today. Got a nice minimalist look on the back with all that glass. Just don't break the glass or you'll be
Every car has glass roofs nowadays.
paying through the nose. If you do buy one, make sure you got collision, baby, cause even a minor wreck on this thing
If you got a loan on it, you're going to have collision.
can be 20-something grand if the battery gets dented. Just
Oh my God. All right, so there's vehicle warranties, right? And Tesla's warranty covers the battery for quite some time. I'd have to look into exactly how long that is, but I can tell you modern vehicles with 8, 9, 10-speed transmissions, some of those transmissions cost upward of $12,000. And you might get 36,000-mile warranty out of that, maybe up to 50,000 miles. I'm pretty sure Tesla warranties a battery up to 100,000 miles. I'd have to look that up, but do your own research, But I've seen cost of just the transmission itself being up to $10,000 to $12,000. He's over exaggerating the price of the battery in Tesla, and plus if it's under warranty, don't worry about it. But it takes a lot to damage these things. I've removed many of them when I was at Monroe. They're pretty darn robust. But like anything, people can damage it, and you drive over dumb stuff. You gotta be careful out there.
keep that in mind. And if you're like one of my old neighbors in Houston, bought a Model S. The original owner paid $121. He paid $45,500 and it only had 15,000 miles on it. They'll poo-poo a used one with low mileage because a lot of people don't drive these electric cars that many miles. And they still got a lot of life in them, and you can get them cheap. Just make sure you pay a guy like me to check it out before you buy it. Because when I hook my machine,
I would consult a specialist, maybe not quite like him, but having a skeptic on your side is also kind of useful. They can bring in some valid questions. But if you're talking to someone who's a professional who knows the vehicles, they can answer those questions.
to this thing, I get so much information. I can do all kinds of testing with it. You gotta pay a mechanic to check out an electric car unless you're out of your mind and you like rolling those dice, because eventually you're going to get snake eyes and lose if you don't have a mechanic check out an electric car before you buy. But you can get a phenomenal deal. The days of coronavirus are gone, where they were going more used than new. No, the used ones, the prices have been dropping like a stone. So think about that if you can find a good low mileage one if you want to try out an electric car.
So I'm kind of surprised at that point. He's actually slightly recommending it. I think his opinion's starting to shift, but like a lot of things, you have early adopters, you got early majority, and then maybe he's more part of the late majority. But and of course there'll be the laggards, the people that say never ever. But that's like I think Simon Sinek said something like, yeah, those people that will still be using rotary phones if they're available to them. There's always gonna be those types of people. So I'm putting him in late majority in terms of the type of people that are accepting this change. He's still looking at very old talking points that are invalid anymore. He was scanning the car over for body gaps and blah blah blah. It's like, I'm an old performance guy, old muscle cars, Camaros, Mustangs, that kind of thing. Not one person ever cared about a body gap. We just cared what was under the hood, how fast it went, and how easy it was to upgrade. That's it. Nobody cares about the body gaps unless you're building a car. It's a show car, and you're gonna adjust all that up and fix it up anyway. That's a body guy. I don't even care about how smooth the paint is myself. But anyway, but those are the talking points that people dinged early Teslas on, and then even Sandy Monroe, who got on the radar of the Tesla guys, did that too, and he he got out in a bad way, and of course, but things worked out because he dug deeper and said, "Listen, even the body might be crap, but however, um, they're light years ahead in terms of their battery tech, in terms of their electronics. They're a light year ahead, and they've kept the pedal to the metal, and they've accelerated that change, and we're seeing that stuff all the way up to the modern Cybertruck. They're pushing the boundaries, and I think that's a great thing. So, anyways, that's me and Scotty Kilmer, and yeah, I wouldn't mind having a direct conversation with him someday, but to see where he really stands. A lot of times you're making these videos or they're doing things for outrageous moments or whatever. But it's one of those things where it's like, do you really feel that way, or are you doing it for the clicks? Obviously, his channel is very successful. His opinion carries a lot of weight with the public, but I just kind of want to try to clear some things up. And I'm an insider. I've worked in the auto industry my whole life. I know the automobile inside and out. And when I saw Tesla, an actual American success story, come to life, I thought, my goodness, yeah, this is something definitely to follow and to watch, to be praised. And in the near future, when the Chinese invasion comes with all the Chinese EVs coming over, we've got one car company that can fight them, maybe two if you include Rivian, and I don't know, Lucid's pretty far behind in terms of their production and being able to stay alive. Their tech is really great, but yeah, we've got a lot to talk about, and I've got I think, a lot of work to take guys like this who are late majority fans, and then bring them to an understanding where they can look at the vehicle and it's like, okay, all these old talking points like the pollution that comes from a coal burning plant. I mean, it's an old bad talking point. It's not very valid. And they're just focusing on like the rubber from the tires. Well, every vehicle does that. Is it a problem? Yeah, probably, but it's something that's universal and needs to be fixed. If you're just focusing on that on an EV, it's like, why are you doing that? You're just trying to look for bad things. So anyway, overall, I mean, I think he has a lot of good information, but I think also, it's a lot of old information. I'm not going to use the old terms, misinformation or whatever that's being thrown around. That he's working off a lot of old information. It's not always wrong, but it's not always 100% correct either. So a lot of times you just need a balance, and we try to work that out and say, okay, yeah, you got a few points. However, it's not as bad as you really are making it out to be, or it's not as bad as you understand it to be. So I think that's all I got to say right now. Yeah, if anyone likes this video, I want constructive criticism. Please comment and whatever. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know if you want to see more stuff like this, because I really want to use the knowledge I've gained throughout my many years in the industry to add to this picture and add to this conversation and try to enlighten as many people as possible. So yeah, thanks for your listening. Thanks for your time. Please comment and let me know. All right, thank you.